On Rye, Chapter 40. ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps, was for the misfits. Like I said, it was either that or gym. I'd have taken gym, but I didn't want people to see the boils in my back. There was something wrong with everybody enrolled in ROTC. It almost entirely consisted of guys who didn't like sports or guys whose parents forced them to take ROTC because they thought it was patriotic. Parents of rich kids tend to be more patriotic because they had more to lose if the country went under. The poor parents were far less patriotic, and then often professed their patriotism only because it was expected or because it was the way they had been raised. Subconsciously, they knew it wouldn't be any better or worse for them if the Russians or the Germans or the Chinese or the Japanese ran the country, especially if they had dark skin. Things might even improve. Anyhow, since many of the parents of Chelsea High were rich, and we had one of the biggest ROTCs in the city, so we marched around the sun and learned to dig latrines, secure snake bite, tend the wounded, tie tourniquets, bayonet the enemy. We learned about hand grenades, infiltration, deployment of troops, maneuvers, retreats, advances, mental and physical discipline. We got on the firing range, bang bang, we got our marksman's medals. We had actual field maneuvers. We went out into the woods and we waged a mock war. We crawled on our bellies toward each other with our rifles. We were very serious. Even I was serious. There was something about it that got your blood going. It was stupid, and we all knew it was stupid, most of us, but something clicked in our brains. We really wanted to get involved in it. We had an old, retired army man, Colonel Sussex. He was getting senile and drooled, little trickles of saliva running over the corners of his mouth and down, around and under his chin. He never said anything. He just stood around in his uniform, covered with medals, and drew his pay from the high school. During our mock maneuvers, he carried around a clipboard and kept score. He stood on a high hill and made marks on the clipboard, probably, but he never told us who won. Each side claimed victory, and made for bad feelings. Lieutenant Herman Beechcroft was best. His father owned a bakery and a hotel catering service, whatever that was. Anyhow, he was best. He always gave the same speech before a maneuver. Remember, you must hate the enemy. They want to rape your mother and sisters. Do you want those monsters to rape your mother and sisters? Lieutenant Beechcroft had almost no chin at all. His face dropped away suddenly, and where the jawbone should have been, there was only a little button. We weren't sure if it was a deformity or not, but his eyes were magnificent in their fury. Large blue, blazing symbols of war and victory. Whitlinger, yes, sir. Would you want those guys raping your mother? My mother's dead, sir. Oh, sorry. Drake! Yes, sir. Would you want those guys raping your mother? No, sir! Good. Remember, this is war. We accept mercy, but we do not give mercy. You must hate the enemy. Kill him. A dead man can't defeat you. Defeat is disease. Victory writes history. Now let's go get those cocksuckers. We deployed our line, sent out the advanced scouts, and began crawling through the brush. I could see Colonel Sussex on his hill with his clipboard. It was the Blues versus the Greens. We each had a piece of colored tag tied around our upper right arm. We were the Blues. Crawling through those bushes was pure hell. It was hot. There were bugs, dust, rocks, thorns. I didn't know where I was. Our squad leader, Kozak, had vanished somewhere. There was no communication. We were fucked. Our mothers were going to get raped. I kept crawling forward, bruising and scratching myself, feeling lost and scared, but really feeling more the fool. All this vacant land and empty sky, hill streams, acres and acres. Who owned it all? Probably the father of one of the rich guys. We weren't going to capture anything. The whole place was on loan to the high school. No smoking. I crawled forward. We had no air cover, no tanks, nothing. We were just a bunch of fairies out on a half-assed maneuver, without food, without women, without reason. I stood up, walked over, and sat down with my back against a tree, put my rifle down, and waited. Everybody was lost, and it didn't matter. I pulled my armband off and waited for a Red Cross ambulance or something. War was probably hell, but the in-between parts were boring. Then the bushes cracked open and a guy leaped out and saw me. He had on a green armband, a rapist. He pointed his rifle at me. I had no armband on. It was down the grass. He wanted to take a prisoner. I knew him. He was Harry Missions. His father owned a lumber company. I sat there against the tree. Blue or green, he yelled at me. I'm Matahari. A spy. I take spies. Come on, cut out the shit, Harry. This is a game for children. Don't bother me with your fetid melodrama. The bushes cracked open again. There was Lieutenant Beechcroft. Missions and Beechcroft faced each other. I hereby take you prisoner, screamed Beechcroft at Missions. I hereby take you prisoner, screamed Missions at Beechcroft. They both were really nervous and angry. I could feel it. Beechcroft drew his saber. Surrender or I'll run you through. Missions grabbed his gun by the barrel. Come over here and I'll knock your goddamn head off. Then the bushes cracked open everywhere. The screaming had attracted both the Blues and the Greens. I sat against the tree while they mixed it up. There was dust and scuffling, and now and then the evil sound of a rifle stock against skull. Oh, Jesus! Oh, my God! Some bodies were down. Rifles were lost. There were fist fights and headlocks. I stood two guys with green armbands locked in a death grip. Then Colonel Sussex appeared. He blew frantically on his whistle. Spit sprayed everywhere. Then he ran over to a fire stick and began beating the troops with it. He was good. It cut like a whip and sliced like a razor. Oh, shit! I quit! No, stop! Jesus, mercy! Mother! The troops separated and stood looking at each other. Colonel Sussex picked up his clipboard. His uniform was unwrinkled. His medals were still in place. His cap sat at the correct angle. He flipped his swagger stick, caught it, and walked off. We followed. We climbed into the old army trucks with their ripped canvas sides and tops that had brought us. The engine started and we drove off. We faced each other on the long wooden benches. We had come out, all the blues in one of the trucks, all the greens in the other. Now we were mixed together, sitting there, most of us looking down at our scuffed and dusty shoes, being jiggled this way and that, to the left, to the right, up and down, as the truck tires hit the ruts in the old roads. We were tired and we were defeated and we were frustrated. The war was over.